The Great War, as it was known at the time, brought about significant changes in military strategy and tactics. One of these changes was the advent of trench warfare. Trenches, deep ditches dug into the ground, provided soldiers with protection from the devastating firepower of modern artillery and machine gun. The British Army was one of the key players involved in trench warfare. In the early stages of the war, particularly during the race to the sea in late 1914, both the Allies and the Central Powers attempted to outflank each other, leading to the formation of continuous trench systems from the English Channel to the Swiss border. The British soldiers, many of them volunteers from all walks of life, found themselves plunged into a brutal, unforgiving form of warfare that none could have anticipated. They traded the possibility of open field combat for the relative safety but stark reality of life in the trenches. In this video, we will journey into the world of these soldiers, exploring the physical and psychological challenges they faced and reflecting on the enduring impact of their experiences. In doing so, we honor their memories and acknowledge the human cost of war. So, let's step back in time and immerse ourselves in the experiences of the British soldiers who lived and fought in the trenches of World War I. It is a journey of courage, resilience, and sacrifice, one that should never be forgotten. The British soldiers faced incredibly challenging conditions in the trenches. These conditions were far from consistent, and at times they became nearly unbearable. One such occasion was during the Battle of the Somme in 1916. The Battle of the Somme was one of the largest battles of the First World War, and it was here that the British soldiers had to confront the notorious Somme mud. Heavy rains and constant shellfire churned the battlefield into a quagmire, making movement extremely difficult. Soldiers found themselves waist-deep in mud, which could literally swallow men, horses, and even tanks. The trenches themselves offered little relief. They were cramped, offering minimal space for the men to eat, sleep, and move around. Moreover, sanitation was a significant issue. Waste disposal was rudimentary at best, and the trenches quickly became breeding grounds for rats and lice. This lack of hygiene led to various diseases, including trench foot and trench fever. Throughout all these hardships, the soldiers had to remain vigilant to the ever-present threat of enemy attacks. Snipers and artillery fire were a constant danger, as were gas attacks, introduced by the Germans wearing these masks and later used by both sides. Living under such conditions, it's no wonder that many soldiers found the physical environment of the trenches to be a grueling challenge. The physical conditions in the trenches during the Battle of the Somme and elsewhere on the Western Front were a test of endurance for the British soldiers. Yet, they persevered, facing these challenges with a determination that speaks volumes about their resilience and fortitude. In the next segment, we will explore the psychological effects of these conditions, a topic as essential as it is complex. The physical conditions in the trenches were undeniably harsh, but the psychological toll on the British soldiers was equally, if not more, devastating. A significant reference point for these mental struggles is the Battle of Passchendaele in 1917, known for its horrific conditions and high casualty rate. The soldiers lived under the constant threat of death or injury, a reality that instilled a pervasive sense of fear and anxiety. During major offensives, such as the attack at Passchendaele, soldiers were subjected to relentless artillery bombardments, not knowing if they would survive the next explosion. These experiences led to a condition known as shell shock. Today, we recognize this as a form of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, but at the time, it was poorly understood. Symptoms varied, but could include trembling nightmares, insomnia, and a dazed or vacant expression. Some soldiers were unable to speak or move, frozen by their trauma. Adding to the stress was the monotony and tension of life between battles. Long periods of waiting were punctuated by moments of extreme danger, creating a cycle of anxiety and anticipation. Even during these quieter times, the threat of sniper fire or a surprise enemy raid was always present. The separation from loved ones further compounded the psychological strain. Letters from home were a lifeline, providing emotional support and a connection to the world beyond the trenches. But they were also a poignant reminder of the peace and normalcy the soldiers had left behind. In our final segment, we'll reflect on the long-term effects of these experiences, both on the individuals who survived and on British society as a whole. The end of the war did not mean the end of their suffering. They returned home bearing the physical and mental scars of their experiences, a burden they would carry for the rest of their lives. Shell shock, or what we now understand as PTSD, didn't simply disappear once the soldiers left the trenches. Veterans struggled with nightmares, flashbacks, and other symptoms. Some were unable to reintegrate into civilian life, haunted by their memories of the war. The impact of these experiences extended beyond the individual veterans. British society as a whole had to grapple with the aftermath of the war. The shared trauma of the trenches and the loss of a generation of young men shaped public sentiment, leading to a deep disillusionment with war and its supposed glory. This disillusionment found expression in various forms of art and literature. War poets like Wilfred Owen and Siegfried Sassoon, both veterans of the trenches, used their works to convey the harsh realities of war, challenging the idealized heroic narratives that were common at the time. The experiences of the British soldiers in the trenches of World War I are a testament to human endurance in the face of unimaginable hardship. As we remember their sacrifices, let us also recognize the profound impacts of these experiences, the lessons they offer, and the responsibility we bear to prevent such horrors from repeating. By understanding the past, we can strive for a future of peace, where the horrors of the trenches remain a historical memory, not a present reality.